Hello, I'm Steve Lusk with the Red Bank Church of Christ in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I'm here to share with you this morning some devotional thoughts from our His Life devotional guide. This is a book we've been studying from all this year, sharing devotional thoughts from the life of Jesus. And this week we've been looking at Jesus' relationship with his apostles. Today's text is from John chapter 20, the first 18 verses. I won't take the time to read that right now, but I do want to encourage you to do so. But let me just summarize it quickly, because this tells of the resurrection of Jesus from the dead and the discovery that his body was no longer in the grave by one Mary Magdalene, a person who had had a great relationship with Jesus and whose life had been changed. So I want to ask you today, what relationships that you have in your life have changed your life? For many of us, maybe even for most, the relationship that perhaps changes us as much as any and impacts our lives as much as any is the relationship that we have with our spouse. The relationship that I have with my wife has changed me and impacted my life in very important and we might even say life-changing ways. When we think about the apostles in the first century, they were people from what we would probably call ordinary backgrounds. They were fishermen, they were politicians, they were tax collectors. They were all over the board in terms of what kinds of things they did and what the kinds of things they pursued in life. And when Jesus came into their lives, things changed. Their priorities changed, their values changed. Many of the things that they had at once in their lives believed and been taught were changed. In some cases, those changes involved perhaps morality, some of the good that they began to do versus the things that they had been doing that weren't so good. In other cases, some of the changes that took place in their lives may have involved the teaching or the doctrine that they had understood. But that's what Jesus came to do, didn't he? He came to change. He came to change the law from the law of Moses to a new law of liberty. He came to change relationships from those relationships that only sought what was good for self to relationships that sought the good of the other. Perhaps the greatest thing that challenged and changed the early apostles, the disciples of Jesus, was the fact of his resurrection. Have you ever wondered how it was that in the book of Acts, when we look at all the things that the early Christians did in taking the gospel to the world, what it was that motivated them, that spurred them on? Because think about it. They faced all kinds of opposition almost from the very beginning of Christianity. After the day of Pentecost, it wasn't too long before Peter and John faced the Sanhedrin Council because of the healing of a man that had been lame from his birth and all the uproar that caused. And then throughout the book of Acts, we see various levels of persecution that ranged from imprisonment to beatings to stonings and even death. Why did the disciples keep on keeping on? What was it that motivated them to continue? Well, I would like to suggest to you that they believed they were serving a risen Lord. They believed in the power of the resurrection. Maybe, just maybe, one of the reasons that we haven't been as dedicated and committed to taking the gospel to the entire world as those first century Christians were is that we have not truly embraced and believed in the resurrection of the Lord. Because we serve a risen Savior. His body is not here. He is risen as he said. Then we should be about our Father's business. It ought to change everything. I hope and pray that you have a good day. I hope and pray that you have a wonderful weekend. If you have an opportunity to worship online or in person, we encourage you to do that. If you'd like to worship with us at Red Bank, then please go to our website and RSVP so that we can prepare adequately for you so that we can have a safe and beneficial worship time together on Sunday. Thank you so much for watching today, and you have a great day.